Coming up, it's big, draggy, and very useful. We put a Pilatus Porter to the test.
Uber launches a flying service, and we've got the details.
Plus, take a scenic flight over the San Francisco Bay. AOPA Live this week begins in just a moment.
This is AOPA Live This Week with Tom Haynes and Melissa Rudinger.
Our fly into Livermore, California is next weekend. The area is full of beautiful scenery with lush valleys, rugged mountains, and rocky shoreline.
Of course, the best way to experience the beauty of the area is by flying over it. AOPA Live's Josh Cochran takes us on a scenic flight over the Bay Area.
Today I'm flying with local Livermore pilot Brad Allard in the Cessna 182 owned by Attitude Aviation.
Yeah, I'm a corporate pilot, so I primarily fly turboprops here in the Bay Area for a lot of our clients.
We're taking off out of Livermore Airport for a scenic tour of the Bay Area. This flight requires navigating a lot of complex airspace, but the reward is an amazing view of the famous landmarks around San Francisco.
Approach, good afternoon. Cessna 374 Tango Charlie, just off of Livermore. Looking for the Bay tour, beginning at Dunbar, making our way around, if you can do that today. The big thing with doing these Bay tours like this is you got to communicate to ATC. As long as you communicate, generally they have no problem working you in. As soon as there's any hesitation that you don't know kind of what you're doing or you're not able to communicate what you're doing, then they won't grant you this Bay tour.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I love this kind of flying.
Yeah, this kind of flying is what general aviation really is all about.
Yeah, freedom. We got the Ritz coming up here. This is a big thing for people on the West Coast.
After we fly past the Ritz-Carlton, we take in the beautiful views of the Rocky Coast and cruise along next to Half Moon Bay Airport.
Cool airport.
Really is. You can camp there for free. It's all set up for like fire pits and picnic tables.
Have you landed there much?
Oh yeah. My wife and I come over here a lot for dinner. Great place to pop in and out of. There's so many great restaurants right downtown. If you want something fancy, you just jump in an Uber and go down to the Ritz-Carlton.
After Half Moon Bay, we head toward the Golden Gate Bridge.
It still blows my mind just how close you can get to the Golden Gate Bridge.
Yeah, it's really neat.
And near the Golden Gate, we circle another San Francisco attraction, Alcatraz. After Alcatraz, we overfly the city, taking in the incredible views.
November 4 Tango Charlie, you done with the tour?
We're done, and we're going to head back to Livermore.
A special thanks to Attitude Aviation for giving us this glimpse of all the incredible flying around Livermore. Josh Cochran, AOPA Live.
You can find out more about all of the Livermore fly-in attractions on the AOPA website.
Meanwhile, Cuba is out. New rules announced by the Trump administration ban private air travel to the island nation. The administration's been working since 2017 to close doors opened during the Obama administration. The softening of Cuba policy began back in 2015 and led to lifting of the decades-old travel restrictions. You may remember we showed you how easy it was back then to fly there. Well, that's all over now. You can read more on our websites.
Well, even if you can't fly to Cuba in real life, you'll be able to do so virtually in the new Microsoft Flight Simulator. The beloved simulator hasn't been updated in 13 years, and now Microsoft is relaunching it next year. Microsoft says users will be able to fly highly detailed aircraft with incredibly realistic scenery. You'll be able to create a flight plan and fly anywhere in the world, day or night, while facing challenging weather. The flight sim will be available for PC and Xbox One.
And here's one airplane that probably isn't yet in Flight Sim. After 2 years of hard work, Gamebird has its FAA production certificate. The Aerobatic Wonder is meant to do stunts like an RC airplane can, and it's wowed crowds at Oshkosh over the last couple of years. It rolls at, get this, 400 degrees per second and is built for plus or minus 10 Gs. The $400,000 airplane is an acro monster, and it's built in Bentonville, Arkansas. AOPA and the FAA are working together to help get you answers about ADS-B. We hosted a live Q&A session on the FAA's Facebook page on Monday. Equip Me, the ins and outs of ADS-B features AOPA and FAA experts responding to questions. You can catch a replay on Facebook. Just look for videos under Federal Aviation Administration. As a reminder, you'll need to equip with ADS-B out before January 2nd if you fly in airspace that presently requires a Mode C transponder.
AOPA is working to eliminate the danger caused by diesel exhaust fluid or DEF contamination. DEF is an additive for reducing emissions in diesel-powered ground equipment, but when mistakenly added to aircraft jet fuel, DEF crystallizes and clogs fuel systems, leading to engine failure. So far, there have been 3 engine failure incidents caused by DEF contamination. The DEF was mistaken for fuel system icing inhibitors in all 3 incidents. Now AOPA is part of a working group to combat the problem. The group is calling for fuel suppliers to monitor processes and procedures for managing DEF. It's also recommending that the EPA allow an on-airport equipment to operate without DEF.
Well, with all the attention on D-Day commemorations last week, we can't forget another major effort celebrated this week, the Berlin Airlift. After the fall of Nazi Germany, parts of Berlin were under Soviet control, and they wanted the rest of it, so they shut off access on the ground for the West to bring in supplies. Not willing to let Berliners suffer, the U.S. and allies supplied the city by air, flying in aid using air transport aircraft. One pilot became a legend in the process. Colonel Gale Halvorsen became the candy bomber. He'd tie candy bars and other treats to little handkerchief parachutes and drop the confections to the kids below. Last week, his efforts were remembered by parts of the D-Day squadron, doing a candy drop to honor Halvorsen's efforts so many decades ago. Halvorsen was in fact on hand for the event. When we come back, Uber shows its vision for the future of flight.
And checking out one of the best workhorses with wings. We'll be right back.
There are many important things to consider before purchasing an aircraft. Let the experts at Aerospace Reports help guide you through the process. We combine expert knowledge with our long-standing commitment to personalized customer service to perfect your transaction. Learn more at aerospacereports.com.
Welcome back. Uber is working to pave the way to the future by using technology from the past. The first peg of Uber Air is called Ubercopter, and it's launching in July in New York City. The flights will be from Lower Manhattan to JFK. Instead of some new eVTOL gizmo, it's a standard helicopter they're using. The service announced at the 3rd annual Uber Elevate conference held in Washington, D.C. this week. The chopper rides will be operated by HeliFlight, a current Part 135 operator. Uber is using the service as a means of understanding how to operate a high-frequency aerial service in an urban environment. And that could pave the trail for one or more of the 155 vertical takeoff and landing vehicles currently in development to be used for the next evolution of urban air mobility. And one of them is Jaunt Air Mobility. They are the newest airframe partner with Uber. The aircraft company was just formed in April, leveraging the technology and the concepts it bought from Cartercopter, a company that you may recall long struggled to advance and certify gyrocopters for commercial operations. The company has worked to advance the technology behind the aircraft and assure that it meets Uber's requirements to be considered for its UAM program. Uber has set a number of parameters for potential airframers to meet, including, among others, a cruise speed of 150 miles an hour, 60-mile range, ability to fly 3 hours worth of 25-mile trips, and with a capacity for a pilot and 4 passengers. And company Safran is working with Uber to standardize the cabin and passenger experience for any of the airframes that make it into the Uber Air program. Thomas Lee is a vice president for the company. He says it's all about seamless and enjoyable ride for the user.
So we've envisioned a utilitarian cabin that is very easy to load and unload, to maintain, and have a fantastic, amazing experience. The seats are slightly moved towards the windows so the passengers are looking out the windows and getting a great view, and we're very proud of this outcome.
So my first time to an Uber Elevate. It's the third one that they've held, first time in DC. Theme this year is all about certification and working in the regulatory environment as they try to push forward on this vision of eVTOL and how it is that we have all of these ride-sharing services by air. And it was interesting to see who was there. Secretary of Transportation spoke, the acting FAA administrator spoke, and several other FAA folks were involved in the panels. And so clearly they're really trying to work with government officials to make it all happen.
They are, and we had a number of staff there because, as you know, we in the Government Affairs Division, we're on top of this. We want to make sure they're integrated safely and it's an efficient system. So we had a number of staff there, and they all reported that it was a really robust conference.
It was, lots going on, very interesting.
And while Uber is working on aircraft of the future, Amp Air is working to add hybrid electric power to existing airplanes. The company unveiled the Amp Air 337 last week in California. The company claims the aircraft is the highest capacity hybrid electric airplane ever flown. You may recognize it as a Cessna 337 Skymaster, or Mixmaster as it's sometimes called, with the rear Continental engine replaced with Amp Air's electric propulsion system. The electric motor is powered solely by a battery pack which must be charged before the flight. The company says the configuration reduces greenhouse gas emissions and operating costs. Amp Air hopes to use the airplane design for regular commercial service by 2021. And Amazon says they'll be delivering packages via drone in just months. The company unveiled a new aircraft which uses computer vision and artificial intelligence to pick its way through obstacles, including the ability to detect and avoid aircraft. Amazon reports its new drone can fly up to 15 miles, delivering packages to customers within 30 minutes of an order. There are still many questions about the technology, so it isn't clear how Amazon will reach its goal of autonomous package delivery in the coming months. And speaking of flying packages, Uber announced this week that it will begin a test program in San Diego to deliver McDonald's food via drone. The drone will deliver it to a landing site or even the roof of an Uber car near the customer, and a driver will take it to your door. That's quite a scheme.
That is quite a scheme because you can never get your McDonald's food fast enough, Now, if they just bring it in the house so you don't have to eat off the couch, that's even better.
Yeah. Of course, it's fast food, right? So we had the first new drone advisory committee meeting last week. There's a lot of drone stuff happening in Washington this week, and when you talk about a fast timeline, some of the taskings are to come up with recommendations to help integrate drones within 90 days.
Wow.
So while that's pretty ambitious, it does show that there's a real push to do this and do this sooner rather than later.
Right, and that was a real theme of Acting Administrator Elwell's comments at the Uber Elevate conference this week, was all about trying to help the FAA be more fleet and being able to keep up with industry and getting regulations drafted in an appropriate time frame so that we can take advantage of this new technology. So it's a lot happening in the FAA. It's nice to see them really trying to step up, and we'll see where it goes.
It is, but we'll do it safely.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a priority. And continuing on that drone theme, the FAA just approved the first Part 107 waiver allowing unmanned aircraft to fly over people that can be replicated with off-the-shelf products. The waiver allows flights over people using DJI's Phantom 4 quadcopters fitted with ParaZero's Safe Air parachute systems. The parachute automatically deploys as arms extend to stop the propellers in the event of an aircraft failure. The waiver represents a significant step forward, making advanced drone operations routine. You can read more about it on our website.
It's draggy as can be, but it's one of the most useful airplanes on the planet. AOPA Editor-at-Large Dave Hirschman shows us one of the very last Pilatus Porters.
It's a missionary and a mercenary, a soldier and a spy. The Pilatus PC-6 Porter is a legendary Swiss utility plane with as many uses as a Swiss Army knife. But after 60 years of continuous production, the Porter assembly line is scheduled to shut down for good late this year. This is one of the last new Porters, and it's headed to Brazil, where it will serve as an air ambulance in remote regions of the Amazon. Very few Porters are fitted with amphibious floats like this towering airplane, but the raw power and thick wing that make the Porter such a capable STOL airplane also allow it to get on and off the water quickly and easily. Sure, the floats add weight and drag, but what the heck, it's a slow airplane anyway, so you're not giving up much. and it will still carry just about anything you can fit inside the cavernous cabin. Porters are popular among skydivers, extreme skiers, missionaries, and tour operators, but these airplanes aren't saints. Porters are widely used by military and paramilitary organizations, and CIA contractor Air America flew them extensively in Southeast Asia. In fact, a Porter makes a cameo appearance in the 1990 Hollywood movie Air America with an impressive hillside landing that upstages actors Robert Downey Jr. and Mel Gibson. Swiss pilot Cedric Gachenko provided a demo of this Porter on Whip Air amphibious floats in Central Florida. The airplane is big and ungainly on the outside with sliding cargo doors that look like they came off a minivan. But inside it's roomy and modern, and it flies a lot better than it looks with crisp, well-balanced controls and gobs of power. There are about 300 Porters flying around the world today, mostly doing rugged jobs in austere regions. And even though the assembly line for new Porters has stopped, these tough airplanes are sure to soldier on for decades to come because no other aircraft can do what they do. After our brief introduction, it's easy to see why the pilots who fly Porters and the people who depend on them absolutely adore them. Dave Hirschman, AOPA Live.
Read more from Dave about the Porter in the July edition of AOPA Pilot magazine.
It's a pilot's worst nightmare, losing an engine over the open ocean. That's what happened to Cirrus pilot Ed Regensburg and his passenger as they were flying in the Caribbean. Ed Jillian Harner, the pilot of the Coast Guard aircraft who helped with the rescue, tell the story in the latest Air Safety Institute There I Was podcast.
So the front of the airplane started to shudder and the propeller stopped dead center in the middle of the windshield. And I said, okay, we definitely lost engine.
Welcome to another edition of There I Was, a podcast where we put you in the cockpit with pilots in interesting situations and we learn how they flew out of them. I'm your host, Richard McSpadden. In today's episode, we have an exciting adventure with Ed Regensburg. Ed's a 25-year general aviation pilot with over 3,300 hours. He's IFR certified. He's flown Cirruses for about 15 years, but before that, he's got time in a 210, a 172, and RB-6, among other airplanes. We also have today Lieutenant Jillian Harner from the United States Coast Guard. Jillian went through naval pilot training. She's got over 1,700 hours. She's out of the U.S. Coast Guard station in Miami and flies an HC-144. So welcome Jillian and Ed to the There I Was podcast.
You can find the rest of the podcast on the Air Safety Institute website or on your podcast app.
Well, that's our program for you this week. If you're watching on YouTube, please like us and subscribe.
And if you have anything to say about it, either leave a comment on YouTube or write us directly, AOPA Live at AOPA.org. See you next week.
Purchasing your own aircraft is an exciting experience. AOPA Finance simplifies the process, saving you money with lower interest rates and hassle-free loans, so you get into your new aircraft sooner. AOPA Finance, the right approach to buying an aircraft.